is going to be out for a month or so with a torn ligament. And the talk, of the NBA news is obviously Jonathan Kuminga because, you know, we know what was happening during the off season, to, get a deal done. And now that he is playing in the preseason games, and he had a really a really awesome poster today, or rather dunk poster, whatever. He had a really awesome dunk today in the game against the Lakers, and so he's obviously getting traction in the NBA news. So let's talk about uh, both of those players. So Keegan Murray, obviously this is you know sad news for the Kings. Keegan Murray tore a ligament in his thumb, I believe, and as a result, he is going to, be out for a month at the minimum. And I already, no offense to Kings fans, I already, you know, didn't have the Kings making the playoffs necessarily, right? But um, even still, you as a Kings fan definitely wanted, Keegan Murray to be healthy so he can, develop more and, you know, show why he is one of their future guys. And so him having to miss a bunch of time is definitely, not only, bad for the team in terms of team success because he is their obviously, their best 3-point shooter. He is one of their go-to guys. And he has, been developing his game since he has been on the Kings. But on top of all of that, obviously the Kings had hoped, or they hope, that they can make the playoffs because they do still have DeMar DeRozan and they do still have Zach LaVine, who they just got. Um, and they got somebody else. Oh, they have Sabonis. Hello. And they have Sabonis. So, like, the West is loaded, and I, again, didn't have them or don't have them making the playoffs, but you can still say, like, hey, they got DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Sabonis. Like, those are 3 really talented players who should be able to get you some wins, right? And then you add Keegan Murray on top of that, and they still have Malik Monk, even though there was talk, I don't know if he'll be traded or not. I guess that remains to be seen. And they just signed Dennis Schroeder, and there's still talks, for Russell Westbrook. So, I mean, the roster is not bad by any means. Like, they have talent. It's just, it's the West, and it's just, that's unfortunate the way it is. It's kind of like when the Blazers, they have Dame again. Shout out to Dame, back on the Blazers. But it's like when they had Dame and CJ and Mason Plumlee, and they were good every year. They made the playoffs every year. And, people thought they could have a chance, to make some noise. But they ran into the Warriors every single time, and the Warriors are a dynasty, obviously. But they were in their, like, heyday of their dynastic run with first, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Obviously, everybody else on the roster, Iguodala, Sean Livingston. Um, and then they got Kevin Durant. And so while those Blazer teams were not bad teams, like it was Dame, CJ, Mason Plumlee, Al-Farouq Aminu, Alan Crabb. Shout out to those players. Been a minute since I've heard those names. What is Al-Farouq Aminu doing nowadays? And Alan Crabb, because obviously they're not in the NBA. But I don't think I mean, at this point, they're probably in their late 30s, but I don't think they're out of NBA age range unless I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know what their ages are. But I feel like when they were on the Blazers, they were a little bit older than Dame, if I remember correctly. I feel like they were. But I don't remember them being like, you know, 35 while Dame was like 27, unless I didn't know their ages properly. um, but those teams were good. So Al-Farouq Aminu, I'm trying to remember the whole roster because uh, Alan Crabb, Evan Turner was on that team, right? Why does Evan Turner sound like the wrong name? He was on that team, right? Am I like messing up his name? Who else was on that team? That team just has just stands out in my memory. Like I said, Crab and Al-Farouq Aminu were like two of their guys. So like those guys I remember specifically. I have to go look up the roster after this. But those teams, my whole point is to the Kings, those teams had good talent. Like they were good, but not better than everybody else. And so for the Kings, just to go back to the beginning, they have good talent. I like DeRozan. Like, I think DeRozan has consistently been really good in his whole career. Everywhere he goes, he's a professional and he plays very well. Like, he always has. It's just unfortunate also for him, kind of like the Raptors running into the Cavs with LeBron, So I feel like DeRozan always does good things. But with Keegan Murray out, and again, even with Keegan Murray, I didn't think they were making the playoffs. But they had a chance, of course. They still have a chance. Can't count them out before the season even started. But with Keegan Murray out for a month, that's definitely going to put them behind schedule. Because it's kind of like what I said about the Lakers with LeBron. Even if the Lakers start this season, going 8-8, like let's say LeBron misses 16 games. I'm just making up that number. Going 500 is not bad, but in the West, you need every single game. And you may need to start out going 12-4 in order to make the playoffs in the West. You know what I mean? Like, every game counts. A shout out to Keegan Murray. Hopefully he heals up soon. Somebody said, who do you consider the best NBA player? Like, of all time? Or like right now in the NBA? Of all time, I've said it before, I don't have a top 10 list solidified, but number one is and always will be until there's somebody who comes along, I guess. But for the foreseeable future, Michael Jordan is the best player of all time. Oh, they said right now. I mean, I think most people would say Jokic, and I don't disagree with that. It's always hard to say who's the best player in the league. Some people will say Shea now because of, what he did and stuff like that, and I don't think Shea's a wrong answer either. Some people will say Giannis. I don't think any of them are wrong answers. I feel like it was easy when it was, the Steph versus LeBron, rivalry, because it was like clear. Like, it's those two players. Whoever you picked, was your prerogative. But it was clear. It was either LeBron or Steph Curry or maybe even Kevin Durant as well. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was clearly those 2/3 players, right? I feel like now it's it's always going to be subjective, you know, in a way. But I feel like now it's like Jokic, I think I would pick Jokic as the best player in the league if I had to pick, right? Um, but I feel like nowadays the talent in terms of like the top 5 is on more of like a level playing field compared to one another. Whereas again, when I'm saying like back then, I feel like it was Steph, LeBron, and then Kevin Durant in there as well. And then I feel like nobody else was even really close. Like no offense, like yes, there were other really really talented superstars, really good players, but I feel like it was clearly them, and the following behind wasn't as close as some players are today. Like some people will say Luca is the best player in the league. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I am not personally sure if Luca is the best player in the league, but that's also not a wrong answer. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the skill set, the talent, it's all the top 5. I feel like they're a lot closer in range. Um, and then the last thing I want to talk about is Jonathan Kuminga, because he has been making headlines, pretty much for the last 3 months. And, now that he is signed and playing, and I talked about his dunk that he had tonight, that was nice. Um, Now it's like, is Jonathan Kuminga going to be part of the Warriors' future? And I know we keep talking about him. I know. um, but he is kind of like the I don't know what the word is, but he's kind of like the guy right now. Not saying he's the best player in the league, but like he is the guy. Besides Giannis, we're not counting Giannis because Giannis is committed to the Bucks still. But like Kuminga is like the guy that a lot of people are monitoring right now because he could potentially be traded, and could he could ironically be traded for Giannis if Giannis wants out. Like, can you imagine? I've talked about this before, but a Steph Curry and Giannis duo would be crazy. Um, but I literally just talked about this on the live stream maybe yesterday. Um, Kaminga's contract is exactly, what the Warriors wanted. Like a salary that provides them the ability to go out and get somebody who is of value. Like there are really good players who are making, $8 million, which was Kaminga's qualifying offer, but those are generally going to be players who might still be on the rookie deal and stuff like that, who, yeah, maybe in 4 years from now they could be, you know, very helpful, but they may still be, learning and developing, and the Warriors are win now. So, like, they may not, want a player like that because, like, whoever would be available, because they're trying to, win now, not necessarily develop somebody. Like they're developing their young guys, but you know what I mean? Like they don't need another young guy to develop. They need another guy to pair with Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, stuff like that to help them win. So the $24 million plus giving up the no trade clause, plus it being a team option for the second year, just plays into the Warriors' hands. Now, Kuminga obviously, got his money and stuff like that. And he gets to control his future a little bit in terms of the contract, only being 1 or 2 years. So he's not committed long term to, you know, either the Warriors or if he gets traded, to the other team, he will have his opportunity to determine his future in the next couple of years and, maybe get a bigger contract and all that stuff. So I talked about how I feel like I think it favors the Warriors a bit more. It does, but I don't think it's like a total loss for Kuminga. Like I feel like both sides, you know, got something of what they wanted. But again, I think the Warriors got more of what they wanted. Um Someone said, oh, liked and subscribe. Great content. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, like and subscribe, guys, if you join the content. Again, I always forget to say it, but it really helps the channel grow and it helps me create, more content for you guys. And it lets me know you guys are enjoying what you're watching. Somebody said, do you think any superstars will end up teaming up with Curry before he retires? I know he has Butler right now, but someone said Butler. Well, again, if Giannis becomes available, all bets are off. The Warriors are going to see if they can get Giannis. So the answer to your question is maybe. I think everybody in the league would love to play with Steph Curry. I don't think that's even like a controversial take. Like Steph Curry is unselfish. He makes his teammates. Yeah, he makes his he makes his teammates better. Him just being on the floor, the gravity that he pulls just gives guys open shots. And he's not the only player who does that. Like I feel like every player in the league would also like to play with Jokic too. Like he's not the only person. But I think to answer your question, yeah, why not? Who it's gonna be, I don't know. I would consider Jimmy a star though. So like, unless you're like saying Jimmy's not a star, I consider Jimmy a star alongside Steph. But if you're talking about like, you know, KD in his prime level star, that would probably be Giannis if Giannis became available. So I guess we'll see. Somebody said it's also crazy though because LeBron's better than Steph, but Steph left a bigger impact. Yes or no? I think yes, they said. I think they both impacted the game in their own, ways. I feel like it's hard to pick and choose between the two of them, of course. Like I think Steph when he like I don't even want to say popped out on the scene because he was already in the NBA, but when he became the MVP and stuff like that, and everyone started paying attention to him, his popularity grew really, really, really fast. Whereas LeBron, was pretty much had all the fandom when he was coming into the league, like number one overall pick and stuff like that. So I feel like they just had different paths and they both impacted the game in different ways. It's hard to say who impacted the game more than the other. That's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? So it's hard to say. If you're talking about in terms of like 3-point shooting and stuff like that, it's obviously, yeah, it's Steph Curry, But I I struggle to pick on that question. They both have made a tremendous impact on the league, and the league will greatly miss them when they retire. The league will absolutely miss LeBron and Steph Curry when they retire. Like they are iconic to this league for many